All right. Hello, everyone. Hi, my name is Paul, and we're here at I Was Hungry Ministry in Nashville, Tennessee. It's March 23rd, 2024, and I'm here with my wife, Melanie, Felicia, the farm manager, and and another Melanie, and we are picking food today for the branch ministry, and we've got a few cases of these. And what we've got in the bags, these bags are going to families in need in Nashville that are serviced by the branch ministry. So that we come in with this food. Felicia drives the truck in, they weigh it, and then it goes to like shelves, and then people come around with shopping carts and put it on the shopping carts. And so in here we have Jerusalem artichokes, which are really, really important food for diabetics and diabetes. And we have purple top turnips, which are in the radish family, and they're really good steamed for like 10 minutes, or you can eat them like a radish. And then we have broccoli greens, and we have broccolini in the top, and kale. And the broccolini, it looks like little broccolis, and you see it in the supermarkets. And but one of the things that happens in the garden is all year round you have different foods, and they vary. So in the store, when you buy broccoli, you see a broccoli head and it's perfect, but there's 15 stages of that broccoli, and we get to eat and try all the foods in all the different stages. And so the turnips, when they put up a head, it looks a lot like a broccolini, and it tastes very sweet, and it's very nice like a broccolini. So when you're in a garden, you get all the variety that you would wouldn't otherwise see in a supermarket. And one of the things that's so important about the garden is we're learning now about nutrition. We're in a very bad situation where 70% of the people are obese. I've lost about 75 pounds since I've started eating the food from the garden, and I'll explain that. But about 70% of the people in our world, in first world countries, are obese, and a lot of that is because they're not getting the nutrition that they need. And so I'm going to explain why that's the case. So in my yard, when we were working today, I found a Doritos package. It looks like it's about 15-20 years old, and preserved beautifully. And on the back you see the nutrition, and it says here all the iron and all the there's not much nutrition, by the way, but I'll find one line item here. Yeah, I got iron 2% of your daily nutrition, calcium 4%, but that's a lie. That's really not what's going into your body. The way the calcium and the iron and all the minerals and the microorganisms, the way they get absorbed in your body is through the gut flora, through the organisms, the non-human organisms in your gut. They're the ones that do the digestion and the imparting of nutrients to your body. See, I always thought it was your saliva and the hydrochloric acid in your stomach that was doing that. But that does part of it, but it's the organisms, these non-human organisms that are also found in the soil, that do the imparting of nutrition into your body. So you're not getting this, all these nutritional facts you're seeing on the back of your cornflakes and your frosted flakes and your cans of this and cans of that, all the packaged food. You're not getting that. You have to have the microbiome and the gut flora for that to happen. So that's why a lot of people are never full. They're always feeling like they have to go back to the refrigerator. Melanie, would you just talk a little bit about, come up here please, so they can hear that, where the plane's going over, and just explain what you've noticed when you've been eating out of the garden.
So as an example, I made some chili last week, and I threw everything that I had. So turnips, kale, probably had some okra in there that I had saved, and tomatoes. And eating that, I felt satiated but not full, like bloated. And just a small bowl of that, and I felt really good and felt like I didn't need to eat anymore. And often you just keep eating and eating because you don't feel satiated, and then you just feel full.
Yeah, well said. And so we've become very familiar with this concept of satiation. And so what I used to do when I weighed 245 pounds, I weighed 176 this morning. But when I weighed 245 pounds, I'd keep going back to the refrigerator, keep going back to the kitchen, and I'd eat till it hurt, and until I was numb, and then I'd fall asleep, and I was never satisfied. And and the reason for that is we're not getting the micronutrients into our bodies because we're eating sterilized food. So that I went to an organic farm, and I got some food. I was doing a juicing demonstration, trying to help people with nutrition, and a head of lettuce fell on the floor. And so I gave it to the person that was helping me, and I said, "This fell on the floor. We can't use it, whatever." And she said, "Oh, no problem." And she walked back into like a tub full of water, dipped it in, and handed it back to me. And I said, "What did you just do?" And she goes, "Oh, that's hydrogen peroxide." And so what's happening when you go to the supermarket? All those greens and carrots and all that food is being sold with fish, meat, chicken, shrimp. And all of that is very pathogenic. It carries salmonella, E. coli. So if you sell food in that same vegetables and fruits in that same store, you have to sterilize it. Otherwise, people are going to get salmonella. And so therein lies the problem. And then people bring that stuff home and they wash it with chlorinated water. Well, what's chlorine? Chlorine's an herbicide. It kills everything. So we have just a perfect storm. And then with all of the recent issues, I can't say the word, the C word, all the 3 years we had where we couldn't talk to each other, remember that? I can't say it because if I say that, my video will be struck off of YouTube. So, but those 3 years of wearing those things on our faces and not talking to each other, that kicked the germophobia into high gear. So now we're sterilizing everything, washing everything with chlorinated water, and so what's happening is we're starving. And it's very weird that you have to eat these organisms to get healthy. That's very strange. Just like when I was on the school bus and we were talking about we were learning about the birds and the bees. You don't learn that from your parents, you learn that in the school bus. And we were like, what? No, that couldn't be true. My parents didn't do that. And you were just freaking out, you're like 11 years old, and go, no way, that could never happen. Well, God works in strange ways. His ways are higher than our ways, and we don't have great insight into how our nutrition works, but this is what we're finding out with the prebiotics, the probiotics, and the postbiotics, that it's the gut flora in our stomachs and our guts and our small and large intestine that actually does the imparting of nutrition to our body. So we will starve without those organisms. And I know it seems strange, and I know you want to go hand sanitize right now, but resist. It's not the way to do it. It's not the way to go. But we do not, on this farm, we do not use any animal manure, and we don't use any bone meal or blood meal or any flesh and feces is what I call it. We don't use any of that to fertilize. And a lot of the organic operations out there, that's what they're using. They're using dead animals and their poo to fertilize the food and calling it organic, and there you go. So there's a lot we have to change and a lot we have to learn if we're going to start to get healthy and going to start to lose weight and run faster and jump higher. And since I've been eating out of the garden, I've lost a lot of weight, but I've been able to play soccer twice a week and perform at a very high level for someone who's 62 years old. And so, and I have energy, I have strength. We were out here, we've done a lot of hard work today, and most people my age, they just can't cut it. I mean, they're just they just get exhausted when they start to do anything, and that's not a good quality of life. That's not the way to live. And so Felicia has some things to show us about the organisms and the microbiome. And David, you can come a little closer and zoom in on this.
All right, so to kind of tag along onto the microbiome, the gut health, all of that, and then like the symbiosis between the soil and how our bodies work in the same way. There's the old, not saying, but the verse, dust to dust, ashes from ashes. We were all from soil, to soil we will return. I like to associate that with these were pulled out of the ground. You can see that white like netting almost on them. These were not washed, just yoinked right out. Well, that was all. But this is the cue. This is mycelium, and that is the mushroom or fungal neural network, essentially, that the trees, plants, everything that's rooted in the ground kind of talk to each other through. It's like their quote unquote Wi-Fi system, essentially. It's what they communicate through. And having that in soil is incredibly good to see. Like, we pulled this out and I immediately went, oh, look at this. This is great. Like, it's a good sign to have. It's like when you dig in the soil and you find a worm. That's fantastic. Means that the plants are communicating with each other and saying, hey, we need water, send water this way. Or, hey, my roots need to go deeper, loosen up the soil. Hey, I need a worm, send a worm. Basically, the plants know what they need, just like our bodies know what they need. So having this, as well as, having this in our soil with what we get our produce from, is a great and gorgeous example of how we're actually, if we are actually eating foods that benefit us, that are in communication with each other, then our cells and our microbiome will be in communication with each other as well. It's all interconnected. There's no reason why we and thank you, our food system should be so disconnected. There's no reason for that. It doesn't make sense. So that was a really lovely treat to see of just, well, yeah, that's a whole other story. Talk capitalism in the next video. But yeah, seeing that and just seeing, I mean, how many worms did we see today? So many.
They're up against the woods.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're doing their work. That the sun's coming out. We're getting longer days. So really, really, really starting to do their jobs. So seeing all of that is just incredible. That's mostly what I had. Questions?
Yeah. So
Anybody?
the human beings, they work for profit using the dollar or the euro or some other kind of currency. But in nature, the currency is sugar. So those roots are putting out sugar, and they're bartering with the organisms, the fungi, and all of the things in the bacteria, viruses, those kinds of things, the life in the soil. They're bargaining with life in the soil and saying, hey, we'll give you this sugar, but we need boron, we need copper, we need magnesium, we need manganese. And there's this flea market going on under the ground. So when you look at a big tree, a third of the energy of that tree is being used to put out root exudates, to get the nutrition, to barter with the soil organisms to get the nutrition that tree needs. And that's what's going on in nature. And you see it with things like bees, where the bees will go and they'll get the nectar and bring it back and make honey. That's a sugar economy. And then you'll see it with birds. Birds are after berries and grain. So they get the sugar from the berries and the grain, and then they do that plant a favor. They propagate their seeds in another location. And so sugar is the economy of nature. And so when you start to understand that, you're not, and so what happened, but what's happening now is everyone's getting diabetes, and they're going no carb. I got type 2 diabetes, and that's because God created man and he put him in a garden. And that word garden actually means orchard. And in an orchard you get fruit, and in a fruit you get fructose. And fructose is like a dirty word and a bad word in our nutritional spheres. But that fructose is bound to fiber, and so it doesn't get released like refined sugar does into your bloodstream and so forth. And the reason most people are experiencing type 2 diabetes is because they eat too much fat, and the fat blocks the insulin receptors, and all that glucose stays in the bloodstream. And people know this. This isn't like new science or anything, but people, our economy and our system is so busy selling diabetes drugs at very high prices to very poor people, instead of just telling them the truth and helping these people. But these Jerusalem artichokes are very good at stabilizing blood sugar, and they're very good at helping people get the micronutrients and the gut flora they need if you don't sterilize them. And so, but most of this will be washed in chlorinated water and eaten. So now, just to shift gears, I have Melanie here, my wife. She's going to talk, stand front and center, dear, and she's going to talk about the wild edibles.
So I'm very excited this morning. Felicia discovered we have some stinging nettles growing just up by the house, and I have been wanting stinging nettles for years, and I wasn't convinced it was stinging nettles until I actually was stung, because there are some plants that look like stinging nettles, but they've always disappointed me because they don't sting. Not that I'm after the sting, but stinging nettles are very nutritious. I mean, just out of the wazoo, full of nutrition. And you can make a nice tea with it. So I did get stung by it, so I know it's a stinging nettle.
They have little
and,
pokers on them.
yeah. So, but if you put it, if you steam it, you know, you can eat it, and it's not going to sting your mouth or anything. Once you apply heat, it neutralizes the sting. Now, I like to put this in a cup, pour boiling water in it, and drink it as a tea. Very nutritious. So, very excited about that. We have dandelion growing everywhere, which most people, you know, pay a lot of money to have companies come and de-dandelion their yard.
Get the chemicals out and kill them all.
Yeah, but the dandelions are amazing because they have these really deep roots that kind of go way down into the soil and drag up all these nutrients that, you know, are sort of found deep down in. And so the leaves are edible. The whole plant is edible.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat this now.
Yeah, go ahead. And you can also roast the roots and make like a dandelion coffee as well, which is...
And they taste pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is the wild onions in Tennessee.
Oh yeah, wild onions. I'm not a huge fan of that.
She don't like them, but I like them. So these wild onions, they grow everywhere here.
And your granddaughter didn't appreciate them yesterday either.
Oh, she didn't like my breath. Yeah, she turned her head. But what you have to know how to identify them because you can get them mixed up with poisonous plants. But they smell like onions. That's how I do it, and they're really good for you. And
the plantain is coming up.
the
Yeah,
plantain,
it's
yep,
really good.
right here.
And so plantain is a really good plant for, like, if you get a bee sting, you can just put this in your mouth, or any kind of insect sting. Put this in your mouth, chew it up a little bit, put it on the sting, and it'll be gone in 5 minutes, like pain and everything.
So-
It just pulls things, it pulls toxins out of the body.
So a lot of these foods are not like, they're not like the Doritos I just showed you, the package I got here. You know, they're not, this is a hyper palatable food. This food will melt in your mouth. It will, you know, it'll make your dopamine receptors just go bananas. And a lot of it's because of the
Come back for more.
You'll come back for more. You can't eat just
One
one.
packet.
Yeah, like Lay's potatoes, you can't eat just one because there's some guy in a laboratory cooking it up to make it highly addictive. And that's a fact. So you read all the ingredients here, and there's it's like a laboratory. It's like a chemical laboratory. What is disodium isonate? Goodness gracious. Disodium, okay. But these foods are engineered to be hyper palatable. That's why the line for all these drive-through places is going out onto the street as people are addicted. And it takes about a week to break the addiction to these toxic food-like substances. But if you want your health, if you want to survive, I would encourage you to break your addiction to these hyper-palatable, chemical-laden foods because they're going to kill you. And a lot of my friends are dying. I mean, this is very serious. It's serious business for the food companies and the drug companies because they want to get you sick and give you the drugs. But it's serious business to the people I love in my community, and that's why we have this garden here. And so if you want to come out and help in the garden, if you want to just come and get food, you don't even have to help. 95% of the food that we grow will get plowed under because we can't give it all away because that's God's nature. God gives in abundance and He provides for His people. This garden's producing food 12 months a year. And so if you want to come Saturday at 9 a.m. or 6 p.m. on Wednesday nights, we're here every Wednesday night at 6 and every Saturday at 9 a.m. And we'll give you as much food as you can eat and take to your friends and family. And and if you want to help out, that's great, but it's not obligatory. Wait till you get stronger, and when you start eating this food, you'll get stronger. I guarantee it. So, is there anything else that I left out? Joel, do you have any questions?
Oh, this has been, I do have one question.
Come in the camera.
Oh, gracious. And I'm new at gardening, Paul, but
Yep.
I've always gone to Home Depot and bought cow manure.
Yep.
So I heard you that's not a good thing.
It'll
That's
make
what I've
the,
always done. I've always bought chemicals. I've been doing just probably the opposite of what I should be
yeah,
doing.
I mean that's a great question, and that's what I was doing too. I was running around here with Roundup, killing weeds. Not too long ago. So don't feel bad. Great question. And so, what people do, what farmers are doing, and what the food supply is built on is NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and that'll make the plants grow really fast, look really good, but they'll taste awful. You ever have a tomato that tastes awful or a carrot that tastes like cardboard? That's because there's no micronutrients. So God gave us this laboratory in our face, okay? We can use our nose and we can process gases. We can use our tongues and our taste buds and we can taste the micronutrients in the food. So when people come here and they taste the carrots and they taste the tomatoes, they gorge on them. They eat loads and loads of them because their bodies are depleted of these micronutrients. But the cow manure and poo and feces, it's very pathogenic. That's why we have sewer systems and septic tanks, because you get all kinds of diseases when you eat food that's around poo. I mean, we just know that, right? So yeah, I would. So that cow manure has to be composted for a certain amount of time, and then I don't know when that is, but you're playing that game of the good organisms and the bad organisms. So we want the good organisms in our guts, the beneficial organisms, but the pathogenic organisms from the rotting flesh and the rotting feces, we don't want them near our food. So great question. Any other?
Can I add on to that?
Yeah.
Real quick. So it's like you said, a huge NPK spike, like mostly I think nitrogen with the fecal matter, but with that NPK spike, so you put the plant in the ground. There's a plant in the ground, it's getting nutrients, but it's only getting nutrients from what you added into it. Once there's like that level, I'm sure we've all seen like sedimentary rock and geology and whatnot, to where there's that level right underneath it, there's nothing further. So you're not going to get carrots that go down, you're not going to get roots that go down, you're not going to get crops that are going to actually gain anything from the soil. If anything, it's taking and starving the soil from receiving any actual nutrients from the sun, from the worms, the mycelium, all of that. It's actually putting a blocker on it to where it doesn't actually absorb. So if you continue to add high NPK rich implements and additives, you're just going to be draining your soil more and more to where you end up with a dust bowl in your backyard.
That's what we did all along.
Yeah, and I can speak from personal experience with that as well. Like if you just keep adding, but not only adding for the crops and not for the baseline, not the foundation, you're done. You're not going to make any progress.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's all I got.
Any other questions? Dave, do you have any questions?
Can I actually get a closer up on the mycelium of the plant? The white part.
So it's white. I'll point it. It's right there.
Yeah, and it kind of grows in between the roots. I mean, there's all the soil around it, but
Oh yeah.
you can see a little bit down there as well. It grows in between the roots, kind of just hugs it.
Kind of like microfibers for communication for them.
They're called hyphae.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it, yeah. Yeah, there's some other bits here. This one's a little bit more dry.
Oh yeah.
You can really see the little bits. Yeah, it's really cool.
Awesome.
Once you get into the science of it, it's awesome.
Yeah, in spring.
Hermione wants to be in the video.
Yeah, this is
Very helpful.
yeah. She gets rid of the mice, and we get a lot of rabbits and mice, and we don't really mind because, like I said, 95% of the food is being wasted. So we have rabbits, we have mice, like big field mice kind of things. They're really cute, kind of like the gerbils I had when I was a kid, and then but the deer, we do have a fence up for the deer, and but this operation is very small, and we don't have a lot of. We got a lot of volunteers, and we got a bunch of people here, but we have really great soil. We have great equipment. It's cordless. It's electric mostly. And we have a well, and we have a really abundant source of water. So we are very blessed here. So we're growing a lot of really good, delicious food, and so we hope to see you on the farm. Thank you for watching our video, and I hope this really helps you on your health journey. And you know, Joel and I are in a men's group at church together, and a lot of the men in our group are struggling, and a lot of them skip weeks and weeks, and we don't really understand. But a lot of people are sick, especially when they get to be in their 60s. And you know, your mother always told you to eat your vegetables, right? But now we're really starting to understand the mechanisms behind it, and it's all very sort of late-breaking science with the microbiome and things like that. But come and join us on with your health journey. Bring it in here, and come in here, and we'll do our best to help you as the garden helps us all. So thanks for watching. Over and out.